Hey, I'm Hayden Buchanan, and this is Create Creative Creatives. On the show today, we have VIIN, a recording artist, musician, and songwriter, fresh off the heels of releasing his debut EP, Outside In. VIIN and I get into all things finding your muse, recording music, and diving into what it is to be a good artist and storyteller in the modern day. I remember, this is going back a year or more, we got coffee in a cafe and you were showing me the demos at that stage of Outside In.
Outside In, that's it.
And I remember the stories like that came from a breakup that you had, and then you disappeared over to the States.
Yep, disappeared over to the States for a minute. So I went to Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, and yeah, it was a crazy period in my life because
Where did you spend more time? I was like New York or LA or
less time in New York, more time in San Francisco and LA. Yeah, the West Coast it was where my family was, but also the vibes were immaculate for me.
Yeah.
You know, because I was so into R&B, so into funk music. I just got to meet the best people there. They introduced me to a whole world of that side.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think I told you this story, but I was in LA and I went to, do you know Stone's Throw Records?
I heard the name.
Stone's Throw Records, I think it's based in LA by Peanut Butter Wolf. He had Knowledge, one of the best samplers in the game, hip-hop samplers in the game. My Design, one of the best producers.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
There's a high caliber here.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn.
Went to the pool party.
You can't just have a party. Yeah, you have to have a pool party there.
Yeah, you just have to have a pool party. And so rocked up to that and then met a few of the cats there too. And it's just so wild how you go to one thing and you meet all these people and then it just branches into a whole new world, a whole new universe and everything. And yeah, it kind of, through meeting those people, it influenced my sound coming back here.
Did you ever have any like music sessions with any of them at all?
Yeah, quite a few. It's still in the vault, you know? Yeah, it's still in my hard drive and also in their computer as well. But we still talk.
Yeah.
You know, we talk every now and then. It's just...
Because you used to go over there for a bit.
Yeah, every year from 2016, 2017 up until COVID.
Yeah.
I can't get the same stimulus here. Or maybe I just wasn't in the right places at the right time to find that stimulus. But it's just a different vibe that I still miss.
So you've gotten back from being over in the States and now you're looking at writing your new songs. What is your sort of process for songwriting? Are you somebody who has a mix of like, I have lyrics, I have some chords, I don't know, like, but that melody that's in my head doesn't match that. Like, how do you pull all those things together? Are you a music first guy? Are you lyrics, or is it just always different every time, depending on the song? Always different?
It's always different, yeah. It's depending on the mood, because I always write lyrics in my head or through the notes or even when I'm driving or whatever. So that, it's always, you know, just baking in the head.
Yeah.
But, sometimes a nice beat comes through, a nice chord change comes through, and then you kind of swerve around that. Well, I swerve around that. Yeah, it's whatever I feel like could be the skeleton.
Yeah.
Whether it's a line of a lyric or a chord change or even a beat, like a swing or something like that. It always changes, you know. But that's me in a nutshell when I try and create something, even to this day. But recently I've been more beat based. Yeah.
So it's like having like a bank of previous beats to then put whatever other...
A whole bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like one thing that I learned from the States is like you always kind of make a bank of drum loops or just lyrics that you always have, you know. And for me, I was always recording drum loops almost every day. Even to this day, I'll wake up, have my tea, and then just cook up, just see what drum loop I have. The other day I made like a garage loop and then an Afro loop, you know. It's whatever sounds I can pull and make it feel good, you know. Then I can kind of save it, use it for later. If not for myself, then for another artist.
So you've been doing a fair bit of production work as well for other artists, not just yourself?
Yeah. Trying to get more into that lane. I have been getting into that lane, but a bit more this year. Yeah. And next too. Because I think I have a lot of things to offer on the production side. You know, like there's a whole bank in my laptop and my CPU that needs to come out. Yeah. You know, that's it.
The back catalog.
The back catalog. Yeah. We're probably like 2 terabytes of something deep.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You know how it is. Yeah.
I haven't released any music since 2017, and I know I have got like 4 folders, and it's like level 1 to 4 of like, this is ready to be like released. It just needs lyrics and like mixing done to it, all the way down to like, I can't get rid of this beat. I'm too attached to it. And then everything in between that. But I think it's like having that quantity there, because I tend to find, you might be the same, that it's like it's shower thoughts. It's like being bored for a moment, and then all of a sudden, for some reason, you just recall the file in the back of your brain, and you're like, I remember that. And then you start to like piece things together. I don't know whether it's like just being inactive with your brain for a moment, and then having that creative tendency like tends to be like, oh, we got to fill this void, and it just smashes all these things together. But I really love those sort of moments there. But it's having the process of just constantly making.
Absolutely.
That's, I think it's inherent, but it's also like a learned behavior as well on top.
Yeah. I think one of the most important things I've learned recently is to release music, which sounds simple, but like when I was holding on to some of those songs, so the songs in my recent EP Outside In, I wrote those in 2019 or 2020, something like that. But it had to come out. Main reason is, if I didn't release it, it would decay in my mind and my heart and my body. The sounds, I've already gotten over those sounds 1.5, 2 years ago. I'm already on something different. Yeah. But, you know, because I released it like 2 weeks ago, it's just, it decayed for so long, but now that it's released, it's got like a new life now. It's for everyone to enjoy. Is it like reflective, like you're looking back on that era that they're attached to? It's a timestamp. Yeah. It's a timestamp of VIIN in 2019 or 2017 to 2020, you know. Those are all those stories. You know, the Sugar Baby story, the story of, you know, just really, really weird stuff. really weird stuff happened in that time. So the best way to understand those is to listen to the songs as well. Absolutely. Yeah. It's a beautiful concept, that EP too. It's one of those things where I had to learn how to release music, because that's, for me as an artist, that's how I would progress. You know. What was your sort of process with that? Because I remember when I started to release music, I really had no clue, and I thought that you had to go through like a record label. How the fuck do you get a record label? How do you like elevate yourself to this point just to start? But now with things like DistroKid and, you know, a lot of music labels that have PR packages and things like that, like I think that's one of the things that I wish I knew starting off. So what was your sort of progression of like learning how to release? A lot of talks with people in the industry. Lots of coffees. A lot of coffees. You know, we've had a few coffees ourselves too. But it's a lot of advice. And how I went with it was I thought of releasing the EP as a bundle initially, but then because of how the market is recently, it's just all singles driven, if you know what I mean, which helps playlisting and etc. so on, and you get to milk the EP or whatever project it is for a longer period of time. Yeah. So that's the strategy, is to sort of like do your first, you know, 3 big tracks and then release everything else. Do what I thought were the best singles for the EP. The best or the most radio friendly? Both. I'd say. Okay. Yeah, which I was happy with, and which me and my team would do so well with getting spins, etc. so on. Turns out I was completely wrong in all of those. So the first one I thought would get some spins was my first release, Faded Love. No Love from Spotify Editorials. It was all faded. It was all faded. Yeah. It just crashed and burnt. Okay. Second single, which I thought I just might release this because I really like it. I didn't expect anything. Then I get the Spotify editorial. I get the radio spins. I'm like, what is going on here? It's always when you care less that it works for some reason. It's crazy, right? Yeah. And then my third release, which was a double single, it was Passion Fruit and We're Getting High. But I pitched Passion Fruit, but We're Getting High ended up getting more plays. My B-side, which is, you know, I thought it was strange, but it makes sense because people love that song more. Yeah. But, you know. I guess it's like, as an artist, sometimes detaching from how other people are going to see it versus like, because you're so involved, understanding it so well and like living out the context of each song and then putting out, be like, no, this one's really important to me. And they're like, yeah, but this one's really fun to listen to. And it's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, sweet. It's like the difference between the two of those. Yeah, you just kind of get stuck in your mind with it, you know? Yeah, 100%. Once you release, you actually know what kind of impact that piece of art has.
What would your advice to anyone who's a bit lost on how to release their music? Maybe they finish something, if they want to put something out, because I know you recently got
The EP out.
and it's going FBI radio, some Triple J plays as well. So if somebody whose aspirations are to get those plays and be added to Spotify playlists, what would you say is like, okay, you've got these things finished, let's say that they're been mixed and mastered, it's ready to go. What the hell do you do with it now? Do you put it on a CD and post it to each record label? No, you don't do that anymore, do you? What would your advice be to somebody who wants to put some stuff out?
Well, I know what I know and I don't know what I don't know, right? Just to start that off. But I would just release whatever you feel like, honestly. In this day and age, if you're releasing constantly, your face is out there more and you're just doing what you like. Then you kind of figure out the strategies after each release.
As far as platforms and stuff go, I guess more on the like hard stuff, not so much the strategy, but like, is there certain platforms that you use or services or businesses that you would recommend to anybody who wants to start out?
I actually went with the distribution label called Noise Hive, and they pretty much sorted all the distribution stuff for me, and they're a good help. They take a bit of a cut, but it alleviates.
Is that done through mechanical royalties, or is that done? Yeah, they take a cut, but I don't stress about the distro. I just give them the date. I send them the songs. They pitch as well, but I pitch to Spotify myself. Nice.
Yeah, so it's very simple nowadays.
Cool. So it's kind of like you let them do the industry side of things, and then you'll do the.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like that.
So it's simple, but you still got to do a lot of hard work. You still got to do the emailing. What's it called? The radio presenters, whether it's Triple J or FBI. I've got the whole spreadsheet. Yeah. Like it's 100 and something emails and numbers and names long.
When you're putting things out as well, like one of the things that I found to be like the last bit of information, but probably the most crucial, is like adding your ISRC tags and stuff. Like that blew my mind, finding that. I'm like, what? That you can tag.
It identifies the
and like, this is why I think it's so important to like be aware of like having APRA, which is the Australian Performing Royalties Association.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like whatever that is in your country, like having that, and then understanding how to make sure that you own your bit of music at the end of the day, because it's like there's the intellectual property at the end of all of this.
Absolutely.
And yes, you made a song, and yes, it's art and it's beautiful, but it's also a product. And you kind of, I found that for that side of when I was releasing music was like, okay, let's shift this into more of a business mindset. And it's like, what are the legal things I need to do to make this product sellable and not have like losses down the line in terms of, you know, yes, it's in my name, but it's also like 100% of the profit goes to XYZ or something like that.
Yeah. You definitely have to figure out all that admin stuff, you know, the ISRC codes, because if you're going with DistroKid, for example, making sure you get your ISRC code is good, because if you're no longer with DistroKid and you change it to a different distribution, your streams are the same, the plays are the same, whether you go with a different distribution too.
If you're not representing yourself, even like you can give away certain parts of representing to people who can help elevate it higher than you ever could, but it's making sure that you have those business elements down for yourself. Because how you present to people is going to be how they represent you to other people. And I think that's a really important thing to think of early on. Yeah. I still remember when I first had my meetings with the distribution label that I worked with, it came to me being like, okay, what's the look? What's like, and like they came to me with all the aesthetic questions on top, and I'd already thought of everything, because they were like showing me examples of people that they'd worked with or artists that they'd seen. They're like, oh, when you're doing shows, you could be like, no, this is what it is. And I actually went to the meeting with a document being like, this is the wardrobe, this is the colors, this is the hex code of the colors, this is like, this is the font, this is sort of like the look and feel document for it. And then they're like, oh, cool, you thought of that? Great, we'll go with that. Because again, it's less work for them, but they're like, okay, thank God, this person actually knows what they want. Yeah, that's the most important thing too. Whether it's the visuals, the audio, the way you mix things, the types of photos you take, you have to have a say in that. It's brand building. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Otherwise, other people will mold you. Yeah, 100%. And if that sits well with you, fine. But for me, it doesn't. Yeah. Exactly. What would you say, like the short version of like, what is your brand? It's going to change, but like the EP, the Outside In EP was more sad boy, R&B, lover boy, modern day lover boy vibes, if you know what I mean. But so very nostalgic. Are you somebody who would like, it's almost project based? Yeah. 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 That's really like clever in the sense that like you can create a world for that,
That's
and then
what
when
I
you have
always
something
wanted.
different, create another world for it.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna always do that. I know it's a singles driven market, but I mean, even in the albums, you can release singles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the singles are different worlds in that universe. You know, I'm creating my little Marvel universes through each of the projects.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah. It's the way that I've always listened to records, and I appreciate the depth and level that artists go through to create that universe. You know, and each song, like my song has my EP has an interlude and a song called Baggage, and there's little snippets of baggage in each of the 7 songs as well, whether
Like a
it's
motif
the
running
lyrics.
through.
Exactly. Yeah, and for the people who actually pick up on those deep cuts, it's like it elevates the experience more for them.
I guess on that as well, like what is the sort of dream audience that you'd love to have?
Audience.
Like if you imagine somebody who's into your music, what in your mind is like, who are you trying to get that message across to?
For that particular project, it was mainly people who are deep in relationships, however weird or stable it is.
Yeah.
Because that whole project is relationship, like love based, if anything. And people dealing with vanity. So a lot of like the younger generation.
Early 20s ego.
Yeah, early 20s ego.
Yeah.
You know, that EP encapsulated a lot of those experiences
One of those
too.
funny things when you like approach the end of your 20s, you're just like, wow, I used to think like that. And like old behaviors that you have
I
and
used
like
to
ways.
do that.
Yeah, all
you
that
know?
kind of stuff. And it just felt so like you in the moment. But then when you grow and you experience more, you're just like, it's funny because like I'm even noticing now just through conversations with like millennial friends that are working with Gen Z now.
Yeah.
It's very easy to like see our generation do what older generations did to us, because you grow and you move out of a space and then you end up being somebody new in a new space. And that's just what the generational shift is. And so you can look at like, oh my God, look at these Gen Z kids. But then it's like, at the same time, it's like, yeah, but that was us.
Yeah.
Instead of TikTok, it was Instagram. Instead of insert trend, we were doing something else trend. And, you know, the Gen X, which would be like the 30-year-olds when we were in our 20s or whatever it was.
Yep.
We would look at them and be like, oh my God, in the same way that they would look at us and go, oh my God. And it's this funny thing of like moving through. So like that ego that you have them, you know, you do get a bit wiser, but at the same time, you almost need that ego in your 20s to push yourself to do the things and experience the things, so that by the time you do reach the end of your 20s, 30s and beyond, you have that perspective. Because otherwise you're just so sheltered from, and as an artist, that's really fucking detrimental.
Yeah, you pretty much destroy everything that, like your muse, you know, that you close the windows for the muse to come through if you do that, you know. And yeah, time changes, people change. This is why you always constantly release, because you change.
Yeah.
You know?
It's having those timestamps, like you said.
Exactly.
Going through your influences from before, talking about like R&B, after you did a lot of classical stuff and the Beatles and sort of like traditional hits from your family, and then you sort of moved into that funk world from LA and stuff. Where have your influences been lately, and where are they shifting to now? Like in terms of like, what are you listening to these days, and how has that shifted from what you were listening to?
It's very different.
Yeah.
So after I finished off this EP, I feel like I explored that sounds as much as I could. Started to get back into the Neptunes.
Okay, yes.
And I listened to the whole catalog, and then things started to trickle. I started to develop like them Neptunes bounce again. So in terms of production, that kind of thing, and then more garage music, more UK music.
Okay. Any grime or anything like that? Yeah, and a lot of heavy trap. So that's kind of where I'm heading to for this new project. Yeah. It's
So
funny that you mentioned that, because even I'm noticing now there's a lot of stuff that we talked about, like back catalogs of like beats and stuff like that. And I look back at a lot of stuff that I've recorded, and it's like got the timestamp of like 2012 or something like that from like way old Ableton projects. And like I grew up very much like doing like stage band and jazz, and like I sang in front of like the school's big band, which was awesome at its time. And like I wanted to be Michael Bublé back in the day. the back of my school jersey said Buble because everyone called me that because I used to sing and stuff like that. But it's everything that I would like sample was like strings and jazz based stuff, and it was like I'd have like a mix of hip hop, but then I'd have like brushes on the drum kit, and so it was like that was the influence then. But then that's shifted again to the stuff that I'm making now, which is way more like atmospheric, and it's funny how things shift from that, because I guess for me, like I went from jazz, big bands, you know, Frank Sinatra and all those sorts of people, and I was listening to that instead of like AC/DC, which everyone in high school was like, nah, rock's the best thing, and I was like, yes, but have you heard this? Like, have you heard jazz? Do you like jazz? And then that sort of shifted to like that lo-fi hip hop kind of thing, and that kind of like really molded into that, and then that got me into more of a hip hop influence with my production. And it's funny how like one thing leads to another, leads to another, leads to another, and that ever evolving soundscape that you live. And again, going back to what you're saying about the vibrations that you feel from music and all that kind of stuff, it's different vibrations hit you at different times of your life. It feels like,
absolutely, yeah,
in a weird way. Sounds very out there and spiritual, but it kind of is out there and spiritual in a way. Yeah,
it is. And you pretty much expanded your world, so that expands your art in 100%. Terms too, you know.
It sounds like you're discovering your new soundscape. Like Outside In was one soundscape and one era, one timestamp, one fingerprint, and now you're learning about, I guess you're discovering what's already in your head with this new soundscape. And what's your sort of process for actually getting that done now? Because I remember you said like you had those songs since 2019. It's been a long time. Yeah. But now you've sort of learned like, oh shit, I need to be releasing music. Yeah. What's changed in terms of like your production schedule to get it done?
Yeah, I wake up and then, I mean, I still do my morning routine, exercise, drink tea, blah, blah, blah. But I always turn on the laptop, Ableton, let's go.
Straight away.
You know, as long as you sit down and start something, like write or just start making beats.
Are you going between multiple projects, or are you just locked into the one until it's done?
New. Every day is like almost new, but then when I feel like I have 2 sessions or 3 sessions during my day. So the morning one is like I just go freestyle, which like kind of opens the door for the muse to come and hopefully bless me with some inspiration, you know. Do that for like a good hour or so. But if I'm really vibing, sometimes I finish it in an hour. Yeah. Or even quicker.
Everything hits that.
Exactly, yeah. Because it gets to a time when you practice a certain genre or a certain specific sound. I don't think I spent 10,000 hours doing that specific sound, but you spend enough hours beforehand to know how to make that sound.
Which is part of the 10,000 hours.
Maybe, yeah.
100%.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Things get quicker. And for me, these new sounds are coming quicker to me. So it's also that, and having released this EP, I understand how to release things. Yeah. You know?
So all those learnings, wiser.
Exactly. What are the components of releasing? What are the visuals that I need? Who do I need to talk to?
Yeah. Nice.
So it's a faster turnaround. Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be good for it too.
And then again and again and again, it just gets...
Keep doing it.
The muscle gets bigger.
Exactly.
Nice.
Exactly. So it becomes like a fast twitch muscle, you know?
Yeah. You also did some stuff with Fender recently.
Yeah.
So what's that?
So I got a little lucky break from being picked up as the guitarist for Ziggy Ramo, one of the best Australian conscious rappers. We played a few shows. We played the Opera House, played ABC's The Set, and then the AFL halftime show. And it was through those shows, me and Fender started a working relationship.
Nice.
And
did they reach out to you, or had you?
I reached out to them. Nice. Yeah.
The boy hustle. That's good.
The boy from Western Sydney got a hustle, you know.
100%.
And I thought, you know, if I'm playing a guitar in front of all these people, you would love your products to be out in front of all these people too.
Smart. I love it.
You know, so I emailed Fender and then went into the showroom and they said, take a pick. And I chose...
Okay, so that's a bit of a dream come true.
The Miami Blue.
Miami Blue?
American Pro 2, which has... I'm geeking out here.
Yeah.
But on one of the pickups, you press the pull on, pull up, and it connects all the pickups together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's crazy. It makes it sound like a 70s funk guitar. And it's a modern guitar, you know. So, lucky to have that one.
Yeah. No, I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's the Fender relationship. So, I'm continuing at the moment. I'm playing all these shows and I'm still in contact with Fender. So, yeah, that's an exciting
Bit of a dream come true.
Yeah,
That's awesome, man.
you know, it's crazy because obviously we talked piano and keyboards was my first instrument, but I started playing guitar when I was 19, and then lo and behold, get the Fender before getting the Korg or the Roland. But Korg and Roland hit me up too.
Yeah.
I'll be playing.
It's all in the
keys
works.
too. Yeah, that's it. Actually, Roland followed me yesterday, so.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Backroom deal coming up. Who knows?
We'll see what happens. Yeah, I'll be in talks with you, Roland.
Hey, thanks for watching the very first episode of Create Creative Creatives. I really appreciate you sticking around until the end, and a massive thank you to VIIN for jumping in as guest number 1. You can listen to his EP Outside In and follow him on social media via links in the description below. I would also love to know in the comments below how you release your art and any creative routines of your own that you feel like sharing. Alright, I'll see you next Tuesday.